Back in 1987, a book came out that wasn't just about real estate. It was really a blueprint for how to build a larger-than-life brand. Today, we're going to unpack that very book, The Art of the Deal.
And let me tell you, right from the get-go, this book grabbed people. The Boston Herald called it fascinating and wholly absorbing, which tells you a lot. It immediately set the stage for the persona at the heart of the whole story.
And this wasn't just seen as some biography, right? The Milwaukee Journal praised it as one of the most streetwise business books they'd ever read, promising readers a rare, unguarded peek into the mind of a so-called brilliant entrepreneur.
Okay, and this quote, this really gets to the core of the whole thing. The book frames deal-making not just as a business transaction, but as a genuine creative passion, an art form that's all about the thrill of the chase.
So this whole idea of the deal as an art form is absolutely central. You have to understand, the book basically presents itself as a self-portrait, where the canvas is the New York City real estate market.
In this style, it's totally unconventional, and that's the whole point. Forget the rigid schedules, forget the briefcases. The approach described here is all about instinct, flexibility, and being open to opportunity. It's a complete rejection of that typical buttoned-up corporate world.
All right, so before we break down all the rules and principles, the book does something really smart. It shows you how they work in the real world. This next part, A Week in the Life, is all about seeing these ideas in action.
So check this out. There's this story in the book about a farmer's widow who's about to lose her family's land. The strategy shown is just pure aggression. A call gets made to the bank, then comes this absolutely wild move, a threat to sue the bank for murder. And the craziest part, it works. The bank just folds. It's a really raw example of creating leverage where it seems like there is none.
And that whole wild story, it really boils down to this one simple quote from the book. The lesson here is all about calculated boldness. Being a little wild is presented as this powerful tool you can pull out when the conventional way of doing things just isn't going to cut it.
Okay, so you might be thinking, how does that be a little wild idea actually become a strategy you can use? Well, the book lays it all out for you in a chapter called Trump Cards, which gives us what it calls the elements of the deal.
And here they are. This is basically the blueprint. The book breaks it all down into 7 key principles, covering everything from your mindset to your media strategy. Let's dig into a few of the most important ones right now. First up is Think Big, and this one is all about psychology. The book argues that most people are held back by their own fear of success, fear of winning, and that fear, well, that's your advantage. It's about getting a competitive edge before the game even starts.
Now, thinking big doesn't mean you should be reckless. In fact, it's kind of the opposite. The idea of protect the downside is all about smart, conservative risk-taking. The book makes this awesome distinction. Don't be the gambler at the slot machine. You want to be the house that owns the slot machines. The whole idea is to plan for the worst so the upside can basically take care of itself.
All right, next up, let's talk about leverage. The book defines it as the ultimate power source in any negotiation. It's not just about having something the other person wants. It's about creating something they feel like they absolutely cannot live without.
And that idea of leverage, it even extends to the media. One of the key strategies is to get the word out. The argument is basically that any press, even the bad stuff, is valuable. Why? Because it gets people talking. And attention? Well, attention alone creates its own kind of value.
So, to really get where this whole playbook comes from, the book takes us back, way back. To understand the art of the deal, you first have to understand the lessons learned from Fred Trump, Donald Trump's father.
The picture the book paints of Fred Trump's world is one of grit and practicality. His business was rent-controlled housing out in Queens and Brooklyn. His whole method was about being efficient, being fast, and being extremely conscious of every cost. This was a tough, no-frills business where every single penny was counted. And then, right after painting that picture of this methodical, penny-pinching world, bam! The book hits you with this quote. This is the turning point. A deliberate break from the father's path to chase something much, much bigger, more glamorous, and more exciting.
And all of this kind of brings us to our final question here. The book is pretty open about using bravado, using hyperbole, playing to people's fantasies to build excitement and value. So it leaves us with this one big question. In the world of the art of the deal, where do you draw the line between masterful promotion and outright deception?